Everything's going virtual, man, these days. The NFL draft, not going to be in Vegas this year. It's going to be held basically where we're doing it right now on a Zoom call. This is our version of the Tampa Bay 55 NFL draft here. And we've got our two quarterbacks, as Rob likes to call them, on offense and defense. Our co-chairs for the Super Bowl LV host committee, Will Weatherford, Derrick Brooks, of course. Rob is here with us. And Rob, this is an exciting thing for us to do, man, because this gets our community involved as we kind of get to draft our team forward, our team forever, and our teams together here.
Yeah, we take a lot of pride here with Team Tampa Bay, and you often see it on full display on social media. So to add a little organization and coordination behind that and turn what traditionally is our just our host committee accounts into the power of the collective with Team Tampa Bay is pretty cool. And to do it in honor of NFL Draft Week is exciting. I for one, can't wait to see the draft unfold this weekend and to do a little version of our own is pretty fun.
I would tell you, each of you would be my number one overall selection. I'd probably be picked last among this group if I had to say, as far as the draft is concerned. But it's okay, I'll take it because I'm in some pretty good company here. But there is only one person of this foursome that has been through an NFL draft experience personally. That would be Mr. Derrick Brooks, number 55. Yesterday, buddy, on the 22nd was 25 years to the day of when you were selected in the first round of the draft by the Bucs. You and Warren Sapp. Take me back to that time, man. 25 years ago. What do you remember about it, and how special was that day?
Well, I'll tell you what, it wasn't the virtual capacity that they're going through for this year's draft. But for me, I was in Pensacola, Florida, over at my grandmother, Martha Brooks' house, and we had we thought it was going to be a family barbecue that turned into a neighborhood party and celebration. And I just remember the funniest thing was my grandmother was on phone patrol. You know, we had the wall phones back then with the long cords, and she was not letting anyone use the phone. And if anyone called in, it was simple, call back later. So she was keeping the phone lines open for any team that was going to call. And for me, I went into the draft really with the expectations of being drafted either the later half of the first round or early second round based on my agent and team's information. And the unique thing about the Bucs drafting me was I never talked to them, as I said before, prior to the draft. I had a very impromptu meeting with Jerry Angelo and Rich McKay when I played in the Senior Bowl in the lobby of the hotel. And it was like a 5-10 minute quick chat, wasn't no formal interview. And that was it. At the combine, I didn't meet with them because I had to do an extra medical exam when I broke my hand in college, and I had no idea that they had, had this much interest in me. Now, all these years later, Rich McKay claims that was done by design, the secrecy of it. But draft day, obviously, it was fun, and obviously the very next day was very memorable too for me because I had a chance to meet Leroy Selman when Warren and I flew into Tampa the very next day, and spending time with him, I was in awe, of him. I was just knew him, but to sit there and spend some time with the first ever draft pick, being the number one pick, and it was extremely exciting.
And you and Sapp were beside Leroy in a place called Canton, Ohio, in the NFL Hall of Fame. Very deserving, certainly, of that. Any story when you and Sapp were up there holding up those jerseys? Did you guys say anything to one another like, all right, we're going to win a Super Bowl? I mean, what was that conversation between you and him when that happened?
Well, Warren and I, we knew each other, dating all the way back to high school and through college. And, we'd done, the award tours, early that spring together. So we were very familiar with each other. And, we actually talked, the night of the draft, and it was more so, hey, we were both excited to stay, in the state of Florida, us both being Floridians and he, being from Apopka, only an hour and a half from his home. So despite that, and I think that was, for him as close as a, prize to not being drafted where most felt he should be. I felt he was obviously the top pick, but dealing with all those rumors, I think this was, the best case scenario for him. and getting past that he was playing so close to home. So we were both excited, to be here in the state of Florida and an opportunity to turn around a franchise. Now, we definitely talked about we're not going to be part of a losing culture. And, between the two of us, we hadn't only lost like 7 games in 4 years. So a lot of winning and turning the franchise around was part of the conversation. And that's what Leroy challenged us with, to be honest with you guys, on the very next day was, hey, you guys could be the catalyst to get us back to winning ways around here and get this town excited about football again with the new ownership. So everything was going in a positive direction. But no, we were not talking about the Super Bowl, but we were definitely talking about not losing, 10 games or more for sure.
Well, certainly it all worked out for the best now, didn't it? Now, we have our Tampa Bay LB social quarterback in our Tampa Bay 55 podcast draft here. Now, while you did get drafted in the first round, Will's going to have the first pick here, all right? He gets the number 1 overall selection. Derrick, you'll have the second pick, and then Rob Higgins will have pick 3, and it'll be a snake format for our draft. Before we get into that, though, I do want to go around to each team and kind of just explain each team, what it's all about. I'll start with you, Captain Will. Team Forward, give me a little bit of an idea of what the listeners can expect from Team Forward.
Sure. Well, first, let me say I'm honored to have the first pick. I think this is the first time I'll ever get to go before the great Derrick Brooks. So I'm going to embellish it for a moment here if I can. But, Team Forward is what Tampa Bay is all about. Tampa Bay is all about a community that is moving forward, changing rapidly, evolving, growing. And, when you think about the fact that we hosted the Super Bowl in 2009 and we're going to host it again in February 2021, how much has changed in that 12-year period? I mean, the city looks different, has a different feel. We walk with a pep in our step. We've got this incredible river walk. We've got this brand new airport that's been renovated. We've got this new downtown that's being transformed. I mean, this is a different place. I mean, I think when people get off the airplane in February 2021, they're going to say, what happened here? What happened in Tampa Bay? This looks different. This feels different. And that's what Forever Forward is about. It's about not just being forward between 2009 and 2021. It's for the next 10 years, for the next 20 years, for the next 30 years, for our kids and our grandkids. Tampa Bay is going to continue to move forward, and hosting this great event is part of that story.
Well, certainly Team Forever has a good component to it. Forever 55, Super Bowl 55, number 55. DB, you're going to be picking second. Tell me a little bit about Team Forever and what's behind that.
Well, when you think of Team Forever, I want you to think about legacy and lasting imprints. I think that we have an opportunity with Team Forever to impact this community well beyond the Super Bowl. And I think that's what gets me excited about being a part of this team is this event is going to leave a forever footprint, not just by the people involved, but the initiatives and the social impact that we're going to bring together. And I know Rob will talk about that, but you think about this community and lasting footprints that are forever, that's going to affect generations. And I think that's what Team Forever is about. And we're going to be led by the Forever 55 initiative that's going to impact a lot of social areas and business areas. So I'm excited to lead Forever 55 as a part of Team 55.
And the GM of Team Together, the man who got this group together, that would be Mr. Rob Higgins. Rob, give me some background on your Team Together here, buddy.
Well, Team Tampa Bay is Team Together. I think that's the key DNA trait that defines us is our cooperative and collaborative spirit. So whether it's on social media or whether it's the planning of Super Bowl or the execution or whatever it may be, we're biased, but we think that the cohesiveness of our group is second to none. I think you're going to see that come together on so many different fronts, and we couldn't be more excited. So to have the collective whole of all these organizations and all these individuals and our community ambassadors all coming together to make our fifth Super Bowl the best one yet is incredible. And we've always talked about being the best Super Bowl there is. Now we're talking about it also being the most important based off the recent days of everything we're going through. But together, we're going to get through it. That's for sure.
Well, welcome to our war room for our Tampa Bay 55 social QB draft here. I will say, since I'm the commissioner, there will be no booing here. You guys cannot boo the commissioner as we go through this draft, okay? In fact, WTSP and CBS will be a part of this draft pool. I have pretty often been picked last in drafts, whether it be pickup basketball or what have you, flag football. So I hope that isn't the case here with WTSP and CBS as we go through our draft pool. But really excited to get this draft going, fellas. Will, you are officially on the clock with the number 1 overall selection. Our draft pool, by the way, for those that are listening, includes our cities of Clearwater, St. Pete, Tampa. You've got Hillsborough County of Florida Sports Foundation. All of our local sports teams, of course, Bucks, Lightning, Rays, Rowdies. USF is included. Visit St. Pete, Clearwater, visit Tampa Bay, and then some of our media partners in WDA and WTSP. So there are 18 available picks in this draft for those listening. And Will, with the number 1 overall selection, team forward selects.
Team Ford selects right out of the gate with no equivocations the Tampa Bay Lightning. And what I love about the Tampa Bay Lightning and why we're selecting them first is because you get Jeff Bennick with that. You get downtown Water Street with that. You get the community impact that the Tampa Bay Lightning have brought to this city. And so there's no question in my mind that our first pick should be the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Now, real quick, I got to interject. You're already seeing the strategy here because, Derrick's connection to the Venix Sports Group, it would have been interesting to see how that would have shaken out between the Bucks, the Lightning, all those different things. So you're already seeing some strategy unfold here between the 3 GMs.
Exactly right. I was not going to let Derrick have a chance at
that. Well, given that Mr. Brooks has the number 2 overall selection for Team Forever, DB, you were on the clock. Who do you pick second overall?
Well, since Team Forward kind of jumped in and stole my strategy, I'm gonna go with these guys right here. So I'm going to select the Bucks with the number 2 pick, and obviously, when you think about this, let's go all the way back to our first Super Bowl under the Glazers and how Malcolm Glazer went in and fought for us not to get overpassed by bigger cities at the time. We built this brand new stadium, and it was guaranteed us a Super Bowl at that time, and he went and fought for us to have that 2000 Super Bowl. And the family has been involved a major part of the bid process this time around, going against, again, some bigger cities, bigger names, sexier names, but they went in and got it done. And their support is going to be very much needed for us to pull this off. So it doesn't hurt, that this guy here played for him, be in the stadium, but I could not pass up the opportunity to select the Bucks with my pick.
Well, I think we know what jersey is going to be selected as Team Forever walks across the stage with the second overall pick, and that would be number 55 for Derrick Brooks. And look, the Bucks, this year's version, the 2020 version, has a good opportunity, as we've talked about, to be the first host team ever to play in their own city's Super Bowl, given the Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski here. Is just go around the circle here as we pause the draft for a sec. DB, Will, Rob, how excited are you to have this dynamic duo coming from Foxborough down here to Tampa Bay? Rob, I'll start with you.
It's incredible. I mean, it's almost surreal. You think about to have those 2 guys headed down here. As a lifelong Bucks fan, I can tell you the energy and excitement is back in a really big way. And then you look at the media value. I mean, how many days in a row are we as the Bucks, gonna have a TMZ story? I think we've already surpassed that in 1 week versus however many we've had in the last however many decades. So it's awesome. It's amazing to have that relevancy here, and it could be more exciting.
DB, we got the GOAT and Gronk here. What do you think?
Well, it's exciting. I mean, I can't remember the last time you had a player, that was kicked out of a park make major news. So obviously I'm excited again, and I piggyback on what Rob said. Just obviously the relevancy of what this has brought this area and us being the talk of the sports world right now. Hats off to Jason Light, Coach Arians and staff for pulling this off. Now, obviously, the tough part is they don't get a chance to actually practice football. So it's good to know that these guys got some chemistry as well, and it just speeds up that learning curve when they're able to get back on the football field. But yes, I do think these two moves probably give the Bucs a very legitimate chance at making history. And for me to be a part of an effort where this franchise make history and hosting, I tell you what, it'll make logistics a lot easier for us.
That's a great point.
Hey, the only reason I even agreed to be co-chair of this was because I was told the Bucs were going to be playing in the Super Bowl. That's why I'm here. That was the. I will just say that Derrick brought a standard of excellence to the Tampa Bay Bucs as a winner and as someone who not only made himself better every day, but made everybody around him better every day. And I think Tom Brady will bring that to the Bucs. Mm-hmm. He'll hold everybody to a standard that Derrick held people to, and that's what you need to build that winning culture. So I'm excited to see where it goes. And look, I'm counting on them being in the Super Bowl. I really am. I think they've got a shot.
I think it's safe to say one thing, that playoff drought since 2007, I think it's going to end this year. I think we're going to see the Tampa Bay Buccaneers finally playing in the playoffs and making hopefully a deep playoff run. All right, the third overall and fourth overall selections go to the man who's been pretty responsible for bringing the Super Bowl here to Tampa Bay in 2021. That would be our Rob Higgins and Team Together. Rob, with picks 3 and 4 in the first and second round, who you got?
Up first, with pick 3, I'm going to have to, similar to the way Derrick threw it back to what the sport he excelled at, I'm going to take it back to my, 5th and 6th grade Little League Forest Hills days, where I was a monster on the base paths. They made me bunt every time just because they knew I'd beat it out at first. That was the only way I could go. So I'm going to take the Rays. One of the things I would say is the Rays have done a tremendous amount in stepping up around COVID relief. I mean, similar like we talked about the Lightning last week and we've talked about with the Bucs, the Rays have done a phenomenal job. When you think about togetherness, I think about the Rays. And then I'm gonna make a surprise pick here with my other one, maybe move up the board a little earlier than people would maybe expect and take WDAE. WDAE. From a radio standpoint, broadcast standpoint, does a great job sharing the games with the fans, sharing the perspective with the fans. They're as talented as it gets, and we're really excited to have WDAE on Team Together.
Well, let's hope we don't. Let's hope we don't.
The late Steve Dumick would be proud of that pick.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
Pete Kraz and Ronnie are going to be excited.
I was going to say, I thought they moved up the draft board. They had a good combine. I think
they did.
Rob, you were the skinny quick guy back in the day, weren't you? That's what you were on the base paths?
I was. Hey, Ryan, believe it or not, I had an ultra small strike zone. My biggest challenge was finding a helmet to fit this big head. Other than that, I knew I was going to bunt every time, and I knew I was going to beat it out every time.
I feel like you're swinging out of your helmet. You're that guy. That's great. I will say, how far will WTSP have an Aaron Rodgers-like slide in this draft? We shall see. And we will see. We will hold
Ryan,
that.
Let's see. Well, I'm going to go USF with my 5th pick.
Okay.
I'm going to take the Bulls. Obviously, and this is, again, more personal engagement. I love the new leadership at the university with Steve Corral and Michael Kelly. And they're actually a big part of us pulling off Super Bowl 55 as well, being one of the host sites. So I'm going to take USF. Obviously, they play in the stadium. They're going to be a big imprint in terms of what it is. And, man, they're second to heart to me in terms of my college football alliances. So I'm going to go with USF because I'm in love with the leadership of Michael Kelly and Steve Corral.
Hey, Derrick, real quick, what are your thoughts on Coach Scott and how he's hit the ground running here?
Oh, my God. You talk about renewed energy and, the energy that Coach Scott is bringing, it reminds me, honestly, of the energy when John Gruden came here. It was like everybody loved Coach Dungy, and the Bucs had to really go big for us to get past the loss of Coach Dungy, and bringing in Coach Gruden kind of brought that excitement and that R because of their success. And Coach Scott energy is second to none. he's the first coach that Dabo Swinney, from the Dabo Swinney tree, that has left the nest, and he's all in. So all of my interactions with him has been great. Obviously, his dad is on staff, so his dad was the offensive coordinator when I was at Florida State, so it's some family history there. And I still remember Jeff, he's a little kid running around our locker room at Florida State. So I'm excited to work with him, and he's definitely re-energized Bull Nation here. And again, man, he's helping out. Not just, you think about the Bull alumni, but he's going across all sports and getting to know all the coaches as well. And I really feel a true team effort over at USF right now.
Not going to be long before the Bulls are back in that top 25 conversation in college football under Jeff Scott's leadership. I'll tell you what, this team's certainly going to be on the rise. A couple of strong picks here out of the gate for a team forever. The Bucks and USF. I could see the sports just running through Derrick's veins. But team forward with Will Weatherford as its GM here with 6 and 7. The pick is in. Coach Weatherford, who you got?
Well, sometimes you have to draft for talent and sometimes you have to draft for need. And for this, we're going to go with talent. I've got 2 talented picks here I want to pick up on. One is the Raymond James Stadium. Incredible, a facility to host this event. The Glazers themselves have personally put in $130 million to renovate Raymond James Stadium. The taxpayers have contributed to that effort. So with my 6 picks, I'm going with Raymond James Stadium. And number 7, I'm also going with talent with the airport. We've got incredibly rebuilt airport. Joe Lopano is the leader over there. He's an incredible leader. He's done a great job. Over $1 billion has been invested in our airport. So I'm drafting the airport at number 7.
Man, they had been shooting up, the charts here, and their stock has been rising. Tampa International Airport and Will Weatherford coming in and swiping them up as we are into the 3rd round here of our draft. Will, pretty good selection here, but Team Brooks, the GM, back on the clock, baby. The first 2 picks, we've gone Bucks and USF. What do we got here for pick number 8 in the 3rd round?
Well, I'm going to dig back into the history box, but I'm going to still stay sports team. I'm taking the Rowdies.
Ooh.
How about that?
Okay.
How about that?
Nice.
How about that?
All right, Kirk Cousins, why you got the Rowdies?
Okay.
The first professional team in this area, and they're currently owned by the Rays. So I feel I steal a little bit of the team together. I steal a little bit from him by having co-ownership here with the Rowdies. So, the competitive side of me thinks I can take a little bit from my competitor. So I'm taking the Rowdies. Obviously, they've been a very, very big support over in the St. Pete area when you talk about across the Bay, and the support that they've been able to get over at Al Lang Stadium has been tremendous. I know over the years they've gone through several ownership groups, but the common factor is all these groups have kept that team here in the Bay Area. And now that they're owned by the Rays, I absolutely love it. So like I say, this was definitely a strategy pick in trying to take a little bit of sting away from my competitor.
Well, I'll tell you what, the Rowdies look like they are a team and a club that could one day be in the MLS. So there is some upside to this selection as well, Derrick, because the ceiling, it's pretty high as it pertains to the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Team together, and the GM, Rob Higgins, back on the clock here with the 9th and 10th selections. We are closing out the 3rd round and into the 4th. Rob, who you got with these 2 picks?
I've got an all-new respect for Jason Light is what I've got, Ryan. Like, this is ridiculous because I want all these teams. Can I just have 18 picks instead of 6 or whatever this is? You know what? I'm gonna go with the 1-2 punch, a great tag team in terms of Hillsborough County and City of Tampa. When it comes to Super Bowls, when it comes to big events, we're so fortunate to have a great public-private partnership and to have the county with everything they do in terms of investing in the events, and the city with everything they do in terms of city services. We've got a phenomenal leadership with them. I think you're seeing it on full display as we get through this current situation, this current crisis, each and every day. I think we could applaud our leadership more and more, and the county and city are right at the forefront of that. They're going to be a big part of Super Bowl as well. So I'm going county and city.
I like that. So this is like the tag team. In essence, you're basically taking the Griffin brothers here, Shaquem and Shaquille Griffin, and I like what you're doing. You're teaming up twins, and that's certainly a good strategy to win in this draft.
If I would have had 8 picks in a row, I would have taken the most successful football family in our community's history with all those Weatherford guys who were off the charts, rewrote the history books on the prep circuit. But I didn't have 8 picks for all the Weatherfords.
I'll tell you what, in the world of social distancing, we can't have that many Weatherfords in one room. So I understand.
There's one in particular you would not have wanted to draft.
All right, we are into round 4 of our Tampa Bay 55 draft here. Team Brooks and Team Forever back on the clock here. Derrick at pick 11 in the 4th round. Who you got?
Well, now think about Forever, and I'm going to move off of my team themes. I'm going statewide, and I'm drafting the Florida Sports Foundation. When you think about, man, bringing big events here to the state of Florida, they're a big part of it. And the president, CEO, Angela Suggs, has done a great job, not only of supporting the foundations, but also the businesses that go and putting these events on. So being a Floridian, myself, I could appreciate the big wide net, of what they have to do throughout the state. So I'm bringing on the sports commission to make sure that our team, when we talk about Forever, we're truly reaching out statewide, which is beyond the Bay.
Now, I do want to make sure, Florida Sports Foundation or the Tampa Bay Sports Commission? Which pick is this with number 11 overall?
This is the Florida Sports Foundation. I see right now I see as a commissioner, your job is not to stir things up, okay?
This would have been a great opportunity to boo me if you wanted to do that. All right, so just to kind of recap where we are right now, we still have some best availables left on the board here as Team Weatherford is on the clock here with pick 12 in the 4th round. City of Clearwater, City of St. Petersburg, where I call home, still sitting on the board here and available for selection. And then, of course, the dark horse in this draft, WTSP and CBS, is still available for whichever team wants the upside and promise of really getting an A+ in my book in this draft.
I feel like if TSP would have socially distanced themselves from Ryan Bass, they would have already been off the board. But that's a little bit of baggage that all of us as GMs, like, we got to answer the question to our fan bases on.
Look, the off the field baggage certainly comes into play here, and that is understandable. But you know what? The potential is sky high, so you got to keep that in mind when drafting. All right, Will, you're on the board here. A 4th round, a 12th selection. Who you got?
Well, you make a compelling case for WTSP, and if you're around when I get my last pick, I'll think about it. But right now, I'm going to go with resilience and grit, and that's with Visit Tampa Bay and Visit St. Pete. When you think about what's been going on with COVID-19 and all the hospitality jobs, the tens of thousands of hospitality jobs that have been hurt, this is a really important industry to our community. And, I've been feeling for all the families that have been impacted by this. And we need for our hospitality industry to be strong, and for the hotels and the restaurants and all the industries that serve us and serve the people who come to visit us. So, to me, they represent what's great about our community. They are the resilience, the grit that they have. They're fighting through this adversity. We're going to win this battle with COVID-19. And they're going to get a chance to showcase Tampa Bay when the Super Bowl comes here in February 2021. So I'm taking with my 12th and 13th pick, Visit Tampa Bay and Visit St. Pete.
Another twin tandem here. Another twin tandem. And I like that.
Yeah, speaking of tandems, my next pick, I'm getting the tandem I felt partnered very well with the Florida Sports Foundation. I'm going to take our very own Tampa Bay Sports Commission. So I'm going to take Rob and your group, man.
Come on, Derrick.
That
was my next pick.
I felt that, again, I could take another jab after you if I just take away some of your talent and bring it on my team. But in all seriousness, I gotta bring a group on board that had the foresight to put a Derrick Brooks and Will Weatherford at the head of the committee. If they were insane enough to do that, they're insane enough to do some incredible things. So I'm going to take Rob and his group. You guys coming on part of my team forever. And obviously, the great job that you guys have done and are doing is going to be critical in helping us pull this off. And I want that talent on my team.
Rob, you had an opportunity to trade up and acquire the Tampa Bay Sports Commission, but you missed that. I mean, it just went one pick prior to your
you let it
selection.
slide one pick, and that's the price you have to pay. The thing Derrick left out, though, which I'm glad he did, is how we duped Derrick and Will and didn't tell them how much of a job this really is in terms of putting on the Super. I think they just were like, oh, yeah, Super Bowl sounds good. They had zero ideas that it's dozens of Zoom calls and conference calls every week. So, fortunately, we left that part out.
All right, so as we get into the back end of the draft here, we've got 4 selections left. And Rob, you are on the clock here with your team and Team Together. And you've got a bundle here as you close out your draft. I'm curious of your next 2 selections and final 2 selections, who they will be.
Well, I see a true pathway to success here as Team Together. Because you've seen our community rally as a region like none other when it comes to these big events. So I'm going to take the city of St. Pete and city of Clearwater in a package Pinellas deal that then unifies those 2 with the Hillsborough County and the city of Tampa and shows Team Together just how collaborative and how much of a regional approach we have. So I think I just played now that I'm out of picks, I'm playing my hand and showing you the strategy, and I like where we've landed.
The strategy has put together a lot of very strong regional concepts here. I mean, you look at it, Rob, you've got the Rays, you had that as your first round, and you're pairing together the city of St. Pete. You also have Ray J, Hillsborough County visit. I see what you're doing here. And I'm very, very fond of the strategy, this regional strategy that you put together.
What togetherness is all about, my friend.
Now, I will say we do have 2 selections left. That would be Team Forever and Team Forward on the clock. We will start with Mr. 55, Derrick Brooks. Team Forever, sir, how are you closing out your draft here, and what selection will you have at number 17 overall?
As I look at the strategy of my team, the word potential, as you said earlier, is definitely there. And I'm looking at an area as to how we get the message out about how good this Team Forever is. So I'm looking at a media partner, but the media partner is the Identity Tampa Bay. So I am taking the Identity Tampa Bay. When I did the background research on the Identity Tampa Bay, it came up spotless.
They passed the background check, Derrick?
The background check came up spotless. Obviously, the Identity Tampa Bay is one of the ventures owned by Jeff Vinnick and VSG. And, we're obviously looking to be the online distribution in terms of the media with the host committee and working together with them and presenting a different lifestyle piece for the Bay Area. So when I look at Team Forever, I look at the identity and the potential that this over the top network can be for us. So I'm going with the smaller guys. They're small in stature, but they're going to have a big presence. So I'm going with the Identity Tampa Bay as my final pick.
The Darren Sproles of media companies. I do like where you're going here with this selection. Might have something to do with the fact that you've been on the Identity Tampa Bay a few times. Not sure if that bias did play into a factor here with this selection, but very solid squad you have here, Team Forever, which means Team Forward, you have 1 selection available. You cannot get around what your selection will be here because
he said it earlier.
Right up. Who you got here to close out your draft?
I got a lot of text messages as we were sitting here as I was trying to see if I could trade away the last pick, but apparently there were no takers. And so, Mr. Irrelevant, Mr. Bass, last pick, I am honored to select our great partner, WTSP CBS, to be our partner.
Now, guys, quick question. Was it Ryan's double-digit 40 time or his 80-pound bench press that you think really hurt the stock here?
the combination of the overall unathleticism that
Yes.
on that side of the table. But no, and on a serious note, Ryan, we really are excited to have you on.
Yes.
We couldn't do this. We couldn't put this entire host committee and effort that we're putting together for this Super Bowl without you guys. We're super excited. We're grateful for your personal engagement. And whether you're Mr. Irrelevant or not, you're relevant to us.
And I echo the same thing. You know, Ryan, again, most people wear the irrelevant badge of honor with the draft, you know, but I look at it a different way. You are in the game. And obviously, thus far, man, I did have a chance to scout you, you know, down at the host committee on Radio Row. And you withstood your own. I must admit, you handled yourself well. And, you know, it was, you know, the flip of a coin, to be honest with you. But obviously, you guys are going to do great. We're excited to have CBS be a part of this. And obviously, you lead that effort on part of the host committee standpoint. So I'm excited for you and WTSP to be a part of this.
You guys are number one in each of our hearts, Ryan. You know that. You don't have to go through a social QB draft and put any credence into that pick order.
Well, I'll tell you what, if Tom Brady could be number 199 and win 6 Super Bowls, I think being pick 18 in the social quarterback draft could lead to a championship for Team WTSP and also Team Weatherford and Team Forward. You know what, buddy?
Don't forget.
As I was going to tell any GM that selected us, you're not going to be disappointed with this pick, okay? You certainly are not going to be disappointed. Guys, this has been such a fun exercise. Hopefully, tonight's NFL draft goes off without a hitch, just like this one certainly did here today. Just overall, as we kind of go around, the wheel here, just the initiatives and how much our community means to putting on this Super Bowl. Will, I'll start with you since you had the first pick. You know, this community has rallied together like any other. As Rob has said, this Super Bowl might be the most important Super Bowl of our lifetime. And our community is going through something that's very difficult right now. But I know, unlike any other in America, we're going to rally and we're going to put on quite the show in February.
This was going to be a really important event no matter what. But when you layer on top of it the economic damage that's been done from COVID-19, the mountain that we have to climb as a community between now and then, it makes this, I think, not just the most important Super Bowl in Tampa Bay's history, it's the most important Super Bowl in our nation's history. The Super Bowl represents the celebration of our heritage, of our communities, of our country, of our great athletes, of our families. How many times a year do all these families come together to watch a game in one place? And so, it's incumbent on us to make sure that we deliver a first-class experience with the Super Bowl and that we showcase the greatness of Tampa Bay and how we're moving forward. So it's not going to be easy. There's a lot of work to be done, but I'm really excited to do my part and make sure that we show everybody how great this community can be.
And I piggyback on that as well, Will, in doing my part here. Extremely excited to be a part of these efforts. And yes, this is probably, the major event in all of sports, and it's just going to be that much more major, knowing that we're going to bounce back from the CV-19 situation and band together our Bay Area in a way that it's never been band together before. So obviously the community support is there now, and we're just going to rev it up as we continue to go. And all 3 pillars are going to be there. You talk about play it forward, lasting forever, and doing it together. I think those are 3 solid words that's going to represent our efforts in bringing off, pulling off Super Bowl 55.
That's right. Forward forever together. I mean, that's the DNA of what we're doing. 291 next days and nights. This is a monumental opportunity for our hometown, and we're going to make it happen in a really big way. And as you can tell, we're super excited about it. We're going to do everything we can to make sure it goes off of the hitch, and we couldn't be more appreciative of the opportunity that the NFL is granting us here.
Well, as the official commissioner of this Tampa Bay LV Social Quarterback Draft and also the official grader, all 3 of you get an A+ year's draft. Will gets extra credit and an additional first round pick in next year's draft for his endeavors and what he selected in this draft. No, seriously, guys, this has been awesome. It's been a lot of fun. It's going to be great to watch the draft tonight. I certainly know everybody here will be tuning in and seeing what the Bucs do with the 14th overall selection and how they add to what's already been an incredible offseason for them. So, fellas, great draft. Kick back and relax tonight, GMs, and enjoy the show across the country, as everybody I know certainly will be as well.